If you are using calendar, chances are you're making a mistake that's actually ruining your productivity. I know because I was making it too. For a long time, I thought I was being productive by following my calendar exactly the way it told me to. But instead, I was burning out, falling behind, and feeling completely stuck. Today, I want to show you a completely different way of thinking about calendars. We'll talk about why there are really two kinds of people when it comes to time management, how to build systems and automations instead of endless events, and I'll even walk you through my own calendar so you can see it in action. In the end, I'll show you the biggest shift that completely changed the way I use my calendar. Once you see it, you'll never plan your time the same way again. Okay, so first let's talk about the two types of people when it comes to time management. The first type of people are managers. These people make more money the more small tasks they make. So these are the kind of people that want to have as many short meetings as possible, and they want to fill their calendar with as many events as possible. And then the second type of people are projects people. These are people that work on the projects, that would be business owners, video editors, and the goal for these people is to have as little distractions as possible so that they can focus on the only thing that matters, and that is to finish their project. The more projects they do, the more they get paid. And the first important step when it comes to having a productive calendar is identifying where you are. My work involves the word projects in it. Like, I work on projects, so it's pretty simple and straightforward for me. I am the projects person. But when I tried to do sales, which wasn't successful, I was the manager because I was trying to get as many calls as possible. So let's put it here. This would be salespeople, this would be business owners. I kind of fall into both categories. That's why I put editors here as well. And a very easy hack to identify this is ask ChatGPT. Tell it that you are trying to identify which type of people you are. You need it in order to create a productive calendar. Ask it to ask you questions. Literally tell it, ask me questions in order to help me identify which type of person I am. And then just go through the process, quickly identify it, and that would be your first step. Good to go. And now let's talk about the second part, which is systems and automations. Now this is important because you don't want to reinvent the wheel every single time. And you have to realize that your goal isn't to create lots of single events, it's to create systems that will create events and create automations that will create events. Something I used to do in the past is literally just creating like 100 different events, but then just how much time does it take to create 100 events? And then if something changes, you have to change another 100 things. It's a headache. I think Dan Martell talks about this is whenever you try to do something, don't try to do it as if you will do it one time. Try to do it as if you will do it 1,000 times or 10,000 times. If you think about it this way, then you will create an automation from the very beginning, which will save you time in the long term. Of course, it's going to take you a little bit more time in the very beginning, but this is unbelievably important. Now, let me show you exactly my calendar and how to create these systems and automation. Then in the end, I'll tell you the hack that's completely changed it and took it to the next level. The first thing, this is roughly my week. And because I speak two languages, sometimes there's no difference for me. And so you will see that sometimes I have it like in Russian, sometimes I have it in English. Most of the stuff is automated. Like, for example, like work on the course, if I open it, then it repeats every weekday. It gives me alerts 15 minutes before. So in order to create an event like this, you have to just create an event. It doesn't matter what calendar you use. Like I used to use Google Calendar and then switch to this one. It's just a little bit more convenient. I realized that I use Apple, then it's easier for me to use the built-in app than to use an app that's not as convenient to use. You go to create a calendar if you do it on a Mac or on Windows. Google Calendar, very similar. The important thing is that you give it a title, you put the start time, the end time, and if you want, you can put the travel time, but I don't do that. Then you want it to repeat. These are okay, but sometimes these are not perfect, so then I have to go into custom, and then I'll tell it how often do I want it to repeat. So if I want it to repeat every week, for example, I can set which dates it's going to repeat. For example, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then how long will it repeat, and to set the end date. Usually I don't set the end date because one of the easy things you can do, so let's double check if there's anything else. Oh yes, and you can put notes here as well. On Google Calendar you cannot put notes, so the way I can delete it, I don't actually put the end date because I want it to be almost like forever. I can just go into one of the events and then click on delete the event. That's it. And the Google Calendar and the Apple Calendar, they're very, very similar, but there is one key difference. In Google Calendar, you can put different colors for different events. And on Apple Calendar, you cannot necessarily do that. You have to create different calendars. And when you have different calendars, you can set specific color to specific calendar. So for example, you can see this calendar is work. But if I open this, you can see that I have this one, which is work, this one, which is sport, personal, super important, payments, marathon training, family calendar, and work. And I have to create a new calendar, basically, if I want to set different colors. You can see that every single calendar has its own color. Super convenient. Now, in order to create a new calendar, for example, like on iPad, you just have to go to the top left and then add a new calendar. And when you add it, you just add a calendar and you need to choose which calendar you want to add. Then just go ahead and create it. It takes like a minute to do it. Every single thing is automated. I know that every other day I do a leg stretch. Every single Wednesday I do stretch, body plus butt. Then I have to cook on Wednesdays and on Saturdays. I have to work on the courses like during this time. I have to work on my client projects during this time. And then I have to create 2 YouTube videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Then I have to do my beard at this time. I have to pay for apartments, for example. This is going to be the December 1st. I don't necessarily have my running here because I have preparation for the marathon, which is like a specific custom thing I actually had built with ChatGPT. And if you want to create automated events with ChatGPT, let me know. I can create another video on that. Super simple to do. For some of the things that I just have to remember, I put it throughout the whole day. For example, the Gottman method, it just is throughout all day, as you can see here. Like I can edit and you can put like all day here and it's going to be all day. So every single thing you see here is automated. I don't even think about this. In my case, this is the projects calendar. This is the big project. This is a big project here. And then these are projects. I'll explain later why I have like big spaces here. It's not like I don't work. I work. Sometimes I start working at 7. I'll explain this in a second. If I was to do a calendar of a manager, I would just try to fill in as much as possible. And the way you can set automations is, for example, you have certain events. You can first of all ask Siri to create this. Secondly, if you have calls, for example, like on Zoom, you can add it to your calendar and you can connect your calendar. You will see that I have another calendar here. I actually do have another calendar here, which is not showing currently for some reason, but it's a Google Calendar that's attached here. And so if I have any events, which is going to be like calls, it will be added here. And if you work as a manager, you can, if you have a call on Zoom, you can click on the email, click on add to the calendar, and even though you add it to your Google Calendar, it will still appear on your Apple Calendar. So it depends on the kind of calendar that you use, but it can be this is how this can be done. And my biggest hack that absolutely changed everything is actually having the free space. Like you'll see that I have here some free space, here. I try to keep as much free space as possible. I try to not put too many events. The reason for that is because when I used to put lots of events, it would give me stress. I would try to create a manager's calendar for the project's person, which is myself. And I would create an event like, for example, here from 8 to 9, and I would start at 8 and end at 9. And it would take me some time to get started, first of all. Secondly, I didn't always want to do it at that time, and some of the things had to change slightly. For example, I was running late for some reason, or I just had an injury or something. I wasn't able to do it in that time. Third, it limits creativity, just like do. And there's no freedom, like you're absolutely caged. And something I recommend you do is having the free time. And you can still do the work. Like you can start like at 8 doing the work that's supposed to start at 9. And then if you finish earlier, then great, you just have a little bit more time, or you can spend more time doing the other stuff, or you can have more free time. One of the things is to have some free space. The other thing is to not follow these times exactly. So it says from 9 to 11, but I wouldn't actually do it from 9 to 11 because once again, it will bring me stress. I don't want to be constrained. I want to be as free as possible, to have as much creativity as possible, and just like have no weight on my shoulders. And if I have it, then I have the weight on my shoulders, and I absolutely don't want that. So this has been my calendar. If you like this video, there's a good chance that you will like this video here. So go ahead and click on it. Go ahead and click.